me? Why do I feel like this?
Hey guys, what's up? It's Brandon, and welcome back to No Filters. I know that it has been a few weeks since I have done a blog, and I have actually been quite surprised. Individuals have questioned me when I was going to do the next blog, which was disclosure, and I'm here to talk about that today. Um, Before moving forward, I want to take note to a couple of things. I want to wish you all a happy new year moving forward, and I hope that you had a Merry Christmas and a happy Thanksgiving. Spend time with your family and enjoyed a lot of time with loved ones. Um, and also, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching No Filters. The responses that I have gotten from some of you have been completely overwhelming. And for those of you who know me personally, you know that I am a huge emotional person. And I don't want any of you to take that for granted that your support doesn't mean a lot to me because it does. Um, Moving forward, let's talk about disclosure. So far, we've talked about my HIV diagnosis and some of the events that led up to that day. And also, I did an impromptu blog about World AIDS Day and what World AIDS Day means to me and some of my hopes and aspirations for moving forward. So, if you haven't gotten a chance to look at some of those blogs, please look at those. And I always like comments and feedback about the blogs and what you guys want to hear, and maybe even topics that you're interested in me talking about or that you want to know about from my personal life. Um, Within the last week, I met an individual, and this individual's response to individuals finding out their HIV status kind of disturbed me. Um, this person is in politics in a small town, and his response to people finding out his HIV status in the town, as well as his family and parents, to me was that he would kill himself. And I've heard this before, and it really bothers me because I don't feel that there's personally anything in the world that justifies suicide, and I don't feel like we should start with HIV. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a sign that it's time to talk about disclosure, and I've been procrastinating around with it for too long. So I first want to talk about family. As it relates to my family, my mom, if you saw from the first video blog, my mom was the first person in my family to know my HIV status. Immediately after I had administered myself the HIV test in the bathroom at the hospital, and the results came back preliminary positive, my mom was the first phone call that I made. And um, for my mom, based off what she told me, I pretty much kind of confirmed her worst nightmare as far as me being a gay man, a black gay man. She feared that I would possibly become HIV positive one day due to some situations that have happened with a close friend of the family. And as much as I would have liked to not had to have confirmed that for her, I did have to confirm it for her. But to my advantage, my mom was very supportive, and she was very proactive in my healthcare and what we needed to do moving forward, and kind of walking along with the process with me. Um, and I have a very small family, so if I had to guess how it probably happened, my mom told my aunt, and my aunt told my other aunt, and then also my mom disclosed it to my grandmother. Um, when I found out that my all of my family was aware of my HIV status, they never treated me differently. They were all very supportive. They still treated me like Bud. Well, that's my nickname. They still treated me like the same old Brandon, and they weren't afraid to drink after me and all that other silly stuff that people have sometimes when it comes to their apprehension surrounding someone who's HIV positive. Um, and even until this day, what I did was when I first was diagnosed, I sent out an email to my immediate family on my mom's side, and I explained to them what HIV was. I explained to them the CD4 count, absolute percentages, the viral load, and I gave them a little bit of health education so that they could understand what it was that I was going to be sending them in the months to move forward, which would be my lab results. We don't do that anymore, and I don't send them those emails, but they do ask me questions, with how everything is doing with my life and everything else, and they know that if it's something important that I'll tell them, or if there's any reason to cause alarm, they would be notified. That's just the kind of family that I have, and I was even more blessed to find out through my own experience how much of a support system that I have right there with my family and friends. Um, let's see. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is dating and also sex. And yes, I have sex. I am a normal person just like everybody else is. And just because I became HIV positive didn't mean that I don't have needs anymore. So let's start with something simple. Let's start with apps. Like when it comes to dating apps like Grindr or Jacked or Scruff and stuff like that. Um, I tend to put my HIV status out there. I look at it as a way of helping me before I can even help myself. Those individuals that see my HIV status are going to be one of three individuals. They're going to be another individual who's HIV positive and can understand why it is that I put my status out there, or it's going to be another individual who is HIV negative but has no apprehension surrounding being involved, dating, or sex with an HIV positive person. Or it's going to be that third person who's HIV negative and doesn't quite understand, and they're probably going to just exit out of the profile and go to the next one anyway. And in that case, it's just somebody that I didn't have to really deal with. I look at it as ignorance being bliss. So even when it comes to sex, I have said this once before, and I'll say it again and reiterate it. I do not 100% promote condom usage, and I do not 100% promote raw or unprotected sex. What I support and what I promote is education. Get the facts and get the education about an adult activity, and then make an adult decision about what you want to do. That's just my take on it. So, and a lot of it is just about having a conversation. If you talk to an individual and you say, "Oh, I'm HIV positive, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it," and "Oh, I have something to tell you," and all that other kind of stuff. It's like, some people look at that and it's like, how can you expect me to accept your HIV status when you have apprehension surrounding your HIV status and you're lacking confidence in who you are and what you have to provide outside of being HIV positive? So when I disclose my status, because you don't meet everybody online. So when I disclose my status to individuals in person, it kind of naturally comes out. I do a lot of HIV advocacy work. I work in the field of HIV, and also I'm HIV positive. So I guess I don't quite have to do a lead up to it kind of thing. And a lot of individuals are very responsive and very receptive to me disclosing my HIV status. Very rarely ever, like, I mean, maybe 5% out of 100 do I get an individual who is completely uncomfortable with the situation. And I don't expect to get acceptance every time, but acceptance is the key, and acceptance was the key for me. Once you have actually taken your HIV diagnosis and you have accepted it for what it is, and you're not living with HIV, but more so HIV is living with you, then you can come to terms and grasp with a lot of the other negativity and negative responses that could come along with disclosing your HIV status. When you get that person who says, you're clean, you're not clean, or you're dirty, or, oh, I only hook up with drug and disease free people, or whatever. When you get those responses, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm educated. So I pretty much know that that person isn't a person that I want to be involved with because that person themselves aren't educated. You know, we have a lot of individuals who will say really ignorant things like that, and at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, they're lacking education. If I tell you my HIV status and you're not perfectly comfortable with it, your odds are almost at a 50% chance that the next person you go to is going to be HIV positive and not wanting to tell you, or that person is probably HIV positive and they don't know it themselves. So that's the way that I look at it. And for some of you watching that are HIV positive, I encourage you to take that same bird's eye view with it. Look at it from a holistic perspective, and don't get yourself all upset and angry and everything because somebody doesn't understand what it is that you're going through or what's going on in your life as far as your HIV diagnosis is concerned. And not only that, we make a big deal about HIV, and HIV isn't the only sexually transmitted disease that you can get. I mean, there's a lot of other things out there. There's hepatitis C, there's herpes, and of course, we have some of the curable ones like gonorrhea and chlamydia. But HIV isn't the do all, say all when it comes to STDs. Um, so when it comes down to me disclosing my HIV status with dating and sex, I just look at it as honesty is the best policy. And I'm a person who believes in putting it all out up front. When I put it out all up front, it lets me know the type of person that I'm dealing with. And it also lets me know if that individual has the capacity to be educated and if that individual wants to be educated about what it is that's going on in my life. I'm kind of on the fence about whether I would prefer to date an HIV positive person or date an HIV negative person. I really don't have a preference. I don't have an issue with using condoms. That works perfectly for me. And like a lot of other individuals, I also think that the feeling of having unprotected sex feels great. It feels better than the condom does. I'm just going to put it out there because a lot of people don't want to do that. And I think that when some people say, oh, it's about the condom and everything else and blah blah blah, or I just can't see myself dating an HIV negative person because they don't understand me and they don't understand what I'm going through. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's bullshit. A lot of people, almost like 90% of those people who have that take are individuals who just want to, you know, fathom some fairy tale and fallacy so that they can feel comfortable with not saying that, you know what, I just like to have sex without a condom. And I'm like, if that's what you want to do, it's what you want to do, but don't allow other people's opinions about what's going on to affect you and to have you alter the way that you really are so that the truth looks a little bit better than the lie. And I don't quite understand that. So there you have it. That's what happened when I needed to disclose to my family. You know how I feel about dating. You know how I feel about sex when it comes to condom usage. I am pro disclosure. I am not with all of this. I'm going to hide it and keep it from you. And oh, if we only have oral sex, then that means that I didn't really put that person at risk. You are putting that person at risk. We still have other STDs that also help transmit the HIV virus, and you don't know yourself if that person may already have an STD and they don't know it, and you may have an STD and you don't know it. So all of this, oh, if we have oral sex only, it doesn't mean that I'm putting that person at risk. You are putting that person at risk. I would like for every individual to ask yourself certain questions. Why is it that I don't feel comfortable with disclosing my HIV status? Or why is it that I don't feel comfortable with being truthful and honest in any situation? It all leads back to something. And the sad part is we can't really focus on dealing with our HIV statuses because we have a lot of other things that we have to deal with before we can get there. We have to deal with our homosexuality, and we have to deal with our infidelity, and we have to deal with a lot of the things and events that led up to that moment. And I'll admit, it's not the easiest thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. Disclosing my HIV status was like coming out all over again. I was like, I already did the gay thing with my mom and my family and the rest of the world, and I'm fine with that. And now here it is. I feel like I have to come out again and share something else that's really close and home to me. And I can say this much. I'm not ashamed, and I'm not ashamed to be who I am today. I'm not ashamed to say that I am a black gay man and I am HIV positive. It hasn't stopped my show, and it's not going to stop my show anytime soon. So I hope that you guys share this information with other individuals and that you take it to heart to not be so judgmental, but also to educate yourselves if you're not educated about it. And education is constantly evolving and changing, so there's always room for growth. Um, look forward to my next video blog coming soon, and I will talk to you guys later.